At the end of a long day, I don't turn to Netflix to relax. I jump on YouTube and there's only two things I watch. Either I watch a psychology lecture by Jordan Peterson, or if I'm feeling really frisky, I'll jump onto the Jim's Group channel on YouTube. I'm talking about Jim's mowing, Jim's cleaning, Jim's dog washing, that whole deal. There's something very addictive for me about the content they produce over there. I don't know if it's because I can vicariously live through a day in the life of someone who mows lawns or what it is. But the truth is new media is taking over our lives, whether it's YouTube or podcasts or this show. We're all drifting away from the mainstream sources. And what we're doing today is an episode in our business innovation series where we're going to talk about content creation. Why create content? How do we create content? And what makes good content? Why am I addicted? Joel, why am I addicted to Jim's videos? I should tell you who I'm talking to. Joel Cleaver is the brain behind the Jim's channel. So he's the Chief Digital Officer at Jim's Group, and he makes all of the content, I think.
That's correct, yes. With my two videographers we have, two full-time team members on staff, Ben and Jake, who are great, and they film and they just basically deal with me in Slack, just going, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and away we go.
So why am I addicted?
I don't know, you tell me. What do you like about it?
Well, this is funny because the Jim's channel it's obviously an advertisement to, hey, this is why you should sign up for a franchise or why you should hire a Jim's Mowing.
Yeah.
But I never feel like I'm just watching an ad and being sold to. I love watching a day in the life of.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it's a great point you make, and one of Jim's original book titles for his autobiography was Selling by Not Selling. Oh, right. And that's the approach I tried to do it. Around 2 years ago, there's a lot of crisis in the franchising industry. A retail food group, franchisees going on a current affair with the site-based food ones getting ripped off by all these third-party greedy franchisors and stuff. And there's a massive bad, image around franchising. Yeah. This around 2 years ago. And I sort of thought, what can we do to lift the lid on this industry? Because all the content I do with Jim at the moment, I hear that stuff every day. I've been hearing it for 9 years. I hear it, in our chats after work. I've heard it for so long. I just thought, why don't we just capture this, put it out there, show people behind. We're not hiding anything. Be transparent and authentic as we can. And and then here we are 2 years later. We've got lots of views. We've got people who watch 8 episodes of Ask Jim, or they watch a couple of hours doing their due diligence as opposed to reading a pre-done info pack. They'll watch the video series now, or watch 10 of them, and then come to training and say, I became here because I watched 3 Ask Jims and just thought how open it is that the CEO does a Facebook Live show every Wednesday night. And that's what it's about. It's about transparent and authenticity in your brand, and especially in franchising, it lacks there. And I just thought we have to do that. Why not modernise this brand? Let's just unveil, take the cloth off it. Let's show the inner workings of the company. Yeah. It's not, we don't edit a lot of stuff down. We have a lot of long form content, and we do have a lot of short form stuff as well now. Yeah. And we're getting a lot more polished in what we do as we go.
Do you cut up your long form to make the short form?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
okay. Well, that's what I do as well.
Yeah, Gary V. That's a big fan of his sort of stuff, and for me it's great. You can film 1 hour of Ask Jim in a week, and if I, during this time in the lockdown, we haven't been able to film out in the road for a long time. I've just been able to go back through our long form stuff and just go. And it's been great for that. And Jim's really easy to work with in terms of, he's a great character, a lot of good business advice. And the stuff that I've been, putting on camera is stuff I've heard for 9 years. And a lot of our franchisees and Zors have heard it, but we've never had the ability to capture it until the last couple of years.
Yeah, so, okay, you've been there for 9 years doing other stuff and you've drifted into the digital role.
Yeah, so I had, I started doing law commerce in Warrnambool, so my hometown there. And after a couple of years, I had to move to Melbourne to do to continue doing the uni course, and then had a mate who was actually working at Jim's Group at the time, and I had no idea it was Jim's Mowing or who Jim was, and said, I'm working there 2 days a week. He goes, you should, if I come back, you should take my job. I said, okay, give me the number, and I kept ringing up, and eventually got my resume in there, and I started there as a 2-day-a-week law clerk. So the legal department back then had around 8 people. Now Jim has 1 lawyer who works part-time, so it's gone from 8 people to that. So, which I think is a great reflection of the company. We don't have many legal disputes, things like that. So started there for 2 days a week, and then I worked in insurance there. So we had Jim's Insurance, the brokerage there for 4 years. And
this is all something very boring compared to what you're doing now.
It is. I sort of made myself a role in a way to sort of escape from doing that sort of stuff. But and then the insurance for 4 years, we set up in Jim's Insurance. Now it's a great brokerage for our franchisees, and then ran our legal documents and compliance department for a couple of years, put things in place with automations and that, and then sort of just gravitated towards our web, digital, social media stuff, which had nothing done to it until 18 months, 2 years ago. And I sort of stuff it. We've got to take it back from this company doing it. Let's just do it in-house. And progressively we've built. and it's taken a lot of trust as well.
From
Jim, from Jim and franchisors and Z's, and I think I couldn't have done it coming from an outsider. I mean, starting day one and just going, I want to do this. It wouldn't have happened.
Right.
I had to have that trust, and that I've got some credits in the bank with Jim for certain things, and he trusts me, and I don't want to abuse that trust. So I only do things with him which I know are comfortable. Explain things, I explain why we're doing them, I show the results, and he just trusts me. And I think what it's done unintentionally, it's definitely made him more personable to our franchisees as well. Sometimes with franchisees in head office, it can be pretty scary. It's the CEO, and I don't want to bother him, and there's a facade put on in stuff they do present. Whereas with this, there's no facade anymore. I think people really do know who he is now, and I think that's what any brand should do.
Any brand should do it.
Any brand should do it. They should not being afraid of showing who they truly are. It doesn't have to be always pre-done and just this is the marketing message we want to put out there. These sort of things. I don't believe in that. I think just being who you are, showing who your brand is, and that's why things like the day in the life which you like.
So good.
Yeah, it's a great little. That's a Gary Vee direct rip-off. Doing the documenting your day, documenting your day. Yeah. So I don't know if he called it a day in the life, but and Jim was really keen to do it. And Jim was fantastic. Was in his house from 7 a.m. in the morning. Does his exercise and that sort of stuff, and we go and play some squash and put some nice hip hop music to it and things like that. And he gets it, and it's been great for the brand. And I think whilst other franchising brands are struggling, we're going to hopefully, after the lockdown with the suspensions, we'll hit our 4,000th what we call active franchisee or build franchisee moving forward for the first time ever. And that could be due partly to the economy, but I think it's due to how much content we're doing, and just we've unveiled the Jim's brand to the public.
Well, do you think there's a desire for that kind of genuineness and authenticity?
I do. I'm big on this, and authenticity is the word that gets thrown around a lot. But how many people are truly authentic? Everyone puts a facade on when they meet someone. It's one of those things.
Do you have a facade on now?
Absolutely, and I'll probably ease my way into it. And as I was saying off camera, I interview a lot of our franchisees and franchisors, so we can sort of see what they're going through when I'm talking to them.
Does it feel pressure?
A little bit.
Do you prefer to be over here?
Absolutely, it's so much easier asking someone and actively listening than answering these questions, because I don't think what I do is anything special. What I do is just basically replicate a lot of Gary Vee's stuff that I like online. So I take a lot of stuff from sports clubs or whatever, and I try and make them work for Jim's stuff. And Jim has ideas, gives me ideas, and my team members give me great ideas, Ben and Jake, and then we make them happen. But this stuff is, you say you don't do anything special, but this is where we're going. I think brands are starting to embrace. I think Gary's early, he always is. Yeah, way early,
He's always. But this is where we're going. And even whether you're advertising yourself, like this is basically Discernable as me, or you're advertising Jim's, this long form type stuff, people want to get to know people beyond those sound bites. But why do you think people brands especially, are scared to open up like that?
Well, it's a good question. I had my two guys, they were RMIT, they were doing videography freelancing before, and they're only really young. I think Jake's 23 and Ben's 24, 25, and they're fantastic videographers. And I was talking to them, I said, videographers or people who do those degrees at, let's say, RMIT or Swinburne, which is the digital media stuff, I don't know why they struggle to get jobs, because for me, a videographer for a small business or small to medium business, if you can afford it, is essential. Documenting that day, and for the cost you pay, it's relatively cheap. I'd rather spend money on making video content than SEO any day of the week. That's just my opinion. But in regards to...
But that's not... Sorry, hold that thought, but you said SEO and versus videography. Videography is a long play, whereas SEO is like motivated people ready to buy now.
Yeah, correct.
Conversion.
Correct, and for me, I just think, having... Just think the video, so much traffic's video now. You can just make industry seem so much more interesting with video content than what you can do. But I just think brands are reluctant because everything has to be so controlled and so contrived and has to go through 50 different approvals. The board members might not get it, or they might have an older gentleman in the company or whoever might not understand the whole concept of it and nixes it, and kills it. But I just think people want things to be so contrived at big companies or in companies in general. And I just don't think... I think people can see through that. If I see a video ad online, which is a testimonial for a product or whatever, I know it's contrived, But that's why influencer marketing, on Instagram, for example, is still pretty powerful. But even that's getting a bit more contrived now.
It is, right? You're not sure, what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah,
in the early days, Instagram, influencer marketing was a great tactic.
Yeah.
But now people, are wary up to it, which is why even online reviews, people... There's a distrust in online reviews. So how can you get a genuine customer review. Can you do it via video? Can you do it via something else?
Have you heard of the service recovery paradox?
No, I haven't, no.
So there's this theory that anyone looking at a list of reviews, if it's all positive, they distrust it, which is, of course.
Yeah.
But if you have a couple of bad ones in there and you see the proprietor jumping on and fixing it, like, so sorry, we heard you had that experience, email us, we'll send you a new, whatever. That rates higher in people's trust than in all good reviews.
Yeah.
It's better to have some bad ones come through. So because of the service recovery paradox, some companies are actually actively looking to get some bad reviews in if they don't have any.
Okay.
And then my wife's got a small business, and
Right.
I'm like, find a bad review. You've only got 15 good reviews. We need a bad one. And she's,
Yeah.
why? Because we need it there, and we need you to recover it. And then this is from a professor of marketing here in Melbourne, Dr. Brent Coker. Check out, he's a very good follow on LinkedIn. Yeah, interesting, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. But I just think, brands, just so much, they just want to be contrived and controlled. Whereas I think if they just show who they are, show what the average CEO's day like, what's the actual inner workings of the company, you build that connection with the potential customers or people who are researching you. They see a couple of videos online behind the scenes and they think, oh, that's pretty cool and genuine. And it doesn't have to be well produced at all. It could be a phone.
Oh, yeah.
This whole thing really started with an April Fool's joke back in the day. I think I had like 10,000 views. I whipped out my phone. We had no cameras whatsoever. And this is when the video sort of really hit home with, we need to really do this stuff, was basically we done an April Fool's prank saying that Jim's just bought, a King Island and he's renamed it Jim Island. And we filmed that. We put it on our Facebook page. It had like 8,000 to 10,000 views. And he had a call, I think, from his wife saying, you didn't buy an island, did you? But that was the power of it. And people like seeing him joking around and things like that. So, why not be the CEO? Why not have the CEO of the bank, just joking around or just showing a bit more of their personal side or doing a Facebook Lives, once a year or something like that. I just don't think brands get it yet. And I think it'll take a while for the Gary Vee sort of stuff, that mantra, to sort of really filter on the way up.
Do you think it's because we've got to wait because we're in our 30s, we've got to wait for our generation to get into the positions of decision and control?
Probably. We probably do. And I think companies who embrace it sooner than later will do better, and they'll get that younger market into their brand, I think, a lot quicker. Yeah.
So do you do content creation outside gyms or just...
A little bit. So my guys are freelance videographers. I do my own sort of stuff.
What's your stuff? I haven't seen your channel.
Well, my stuff, I haven't really done it too much, but my stuff is I'm still deciding on what sort of, everyone says you need a niche, so I don't really have a niche. I like varied things, but I'm sort of going into the niche. I had a single mother who's got bipolar, so I grew up in a lot of foster homes and things like that, and there's not a lot of support for young people in that space. So my content's about growing up with a mentally ill parent, or post that sort of stuff. So
targeted to those people who are going through the same thing.
Yeah, well, providing material online for young people or for adults who are still going through the process of all the issues that come with growing up in those environments. So I sort of interview people who do various work in that field.
I want to check it out.
Yeah.
So people want to start businesses now, lost their jobs and so on. And I've interviewed some people talking about how do you start I had a guy on who did a computer store, how to do drop shipping and so on.
Yeah.
This is so much more accessible. Get out your phone and start making stuff. How would you recommend people start, and should they start? Maybe some people shouldn't.
Absolutely, you should start, and you won't believe where you'll be in a year's time. If you go back to our really early stuff, Ask Jim, started with just me and Jim sitting in front of my computer with a webcam, and now it's like a full production. When we normally have it back in we have a studio and everything for it. We have live audience for it.
A live audience?
Yeah, every 3 to 4 weeks when we have our franchisees come to training, we do it in front of them. So, you never know where it goes. A lot of people are scared of what people will say online. Just forget about it no matter what you do. You're getting negativity. So just post. And then as you go, you'll get better and better and better and better. But you got to start. Just people don't start. They want to put too many plans, what my niche is going to be, messages, script, blah, 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 blah. Just start. You'll get better as you go. Review. And if you just try and concentrate and get a little, 1% better every week or two, you'll be, in a year's time, you'll be a lot further. You'll be surprised where you can actually be. But I think consistency as well is key. So with Jim's Grip stuff, we're very consistent. We pump out a lot of stuff, and that's the
regular posting.
Absolutely, regular posting. I think you've got to do it. I don't apply it to my own self, but in terms of work, our regularity is pretty spot on. Every day we're posting some new video or something like that.
But so this is the cool thing about gyms. A lot of companies, you feel like they're posting every day for the sake of posting every day, and you're like, another ad trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
Why don't I get that feel from gyms? Because you are selling franchises and so on.
Absolutely.
And the services.
Yeah.
Why am I not feeling abused? by you guys?
I'm glad you don't.
I don't know why though.
I think it's drummed into me that we can't, like even our customer newsletter, right? I've been in trouble a few times before when we've done articles which are they put the call to action at the start as opposed to the end, or they're too salesy. Jim doesn't like that. It's all about giving advice and showing stories and stuff like that, and that's what we try and do. So with a franchise testimonial, rather than doing a pre-produced, which we still do, let's say 4-minute video where we've got only pre-chosen franchisees, I'll do a long-form podcast with a franchisee who approaches me, who wants to talk about the gym system. So, and we'll put that up there. You know, we won't edit it, nothing like that. It'll just be from start to finish. So I'm glad you don't think you're getting sold to, because that's not the point. But
well, I know I am being sold to.
Well, it's not. It's honestly not. It's probably behind. It's an intention sort of behind it, I guess. But we really just want to just show people inside of gyms and what it has done for people.
Right.
And it's not. And if you want to, go and buy a franchise out of it, then fantastic.
Yeah.
But we just want to have, show everything that we do, share that our stories. We've got a lot of great people in gyms. We've got multi-millionaires who run divisions like Hader Hussein's from Gyms Cleaning and Sharon Connell from Gyms Dog Wash. So I love Founders content as well. I don't know if you know.
What's that?
Founders, a entrepreneurial YouTube channel. Oh. And they do sit-down stuff like this.
Yeah.
So I started doing that with our divisional owners,
cool.
to build their sort of brand a bit. And things like that, just chatting with someone like that, you can learn so many things. But it's just trying to, and also value, how much value can we have? Someone who's started, a business and in 20 years is, multi-millionaire. Let's say Hader for the Gyms Cleaning Group. What has that guy done? Why aren't we capturing that? Why aren't we sharing that?
Yeah.
There's so many of those people out there. And in gyms, we're lucky we've got so many of them.
Yeah.
Nearly 4,000 franchisees plus franchisors.
Yeah.
So why not capture as much as we can of that and put it out for people to then make a decision about the brand if they're researching us to use it for their next dog wash or for the next mo.
I really appreciate it, because I am in no danger of signing up for a franchise. I don't swing that way.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of your franchises have been like ex-coppers and stuff like that. But I don't swing that. But still, I appreciate that you're putting out content that people like me find valuable. So I think that's that real generosity that we're talking about. You're making content not necessarily to capture my buy, but you're giving me value nonetheless.
Yeah, and that's definitely drummed into us from Jim. Jim's all about giving value, tries to give as much value as he can. And that's from me as well. We're very lucky. I've got Jim at my disposal to do this sort of stuff. He's a very successful, proven multi-millionaire businessman, whereas you have all these fake gurus online trying to upsell you into a masterclass or a mastermind, right? Yeah. So, I'd rather put this stuff out there for free, and you can learn from Jim. Every week you can learn from Jim, as opposed to people having to go down other channels and things like that.
Right. What about attention spans? Because say Ask Jim, right, is 2 hours. Or
That's an hour every week. Yeah,
it's long.
It's a long time.
Even this, like, why are you still watching people? Because it's interesting. Well, I don't know. You tell me why. What do you think about long form?
Well, I think long form always going to have a place.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. It's how engaging can you make that long form, content. Yeah. I think you're going to, as you build your audience, you're going to have an audience no matter what who consumes your long form content. So with us, we have franchisees, we have people doing research on the brand, we have our franchisors, plus we have customers as well. We even jump on, we'll say we've got a customer complaint and things like that.
Right.
But I think you've got to try and, everyone says make it engaging, or how do you make it engaging?
Yeah, how do we do it?
Well, I think with long form stuff, I like live platform for me, just because you can make it interactive. So
of course,
you can let them dictate the conversation. If they know they can dictate the conversation, and you say their name, you give them that dopamine hit, they keep posting things and stuff like that. I think being Jim as well, having Jim answer their question directly every week for nothing, keeps bringing people back. Ask Jim's probably been one of our best things as well from franchisee relationships. So franchisees will feel more comfortable asking a question on Ask Jim most of the time than emailing Jim or calling.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And it's produced some great changes and things like that. And we have people sussing out the brand online and franchisors trying to win their inquiries and things like that. But I think just trying to, it might sound really cliche to say, but just being yourself in what you do. I think people can tell if you're really trying too hard or too scripted these days. With long form, but I definitely think long form's got a place. It will always have a place. And just from a library, sort of repository type of thing, you can just keep going back and bang, bang, bang and getting everything you need down the track.
So what about in your own life in terms of long form? Because my consumption has changed radically towards the long form maybe 3 years ago when I discovered Joe Rogan.
Okay.
And now I'm 90% I consume long form content.
Yeah, well, I'm a podcast machine myself. Podcast back in the early days, The Ringer I really love in America.
The Ringer.
Yeah, The Ringer's a massive sports network. It's a guy called Bill Simmons.
Okay.
I call him the Podfather, but he's basically, he sold to Spotify for around 100 and something million. He done a similar Rogan deal.
Oh.
And, podcast, for me is just a great way to break out exercise, things like that. So
you consume a fair bit of long form?
I consume a heap of long form. I've started getting into audiobooks because of gym, but for me, I'm still the podcast form, long form. I'll consume a lot of that. I'll have my 3 or 4 shows. I don't know about yourself, but I'll just always
3 or 4,
3 or 4, and that's what I'll just listen to all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going long form? You say it's here to stay. It has its place.
Yeah, I definitely think it has its place. I think long form will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how brands start using long form content. I don't think enough of them use it. So I know I've been watching a lot about the banks. I thought banks would have been the one doing podcast series and stuff all the time. And I did dabble into it a bit with ANZ, was a good example with the business series, but they sort of went away from it. But
why do they go away?
Yeah, I just don't know if they got. It all has to be about ROI for those companies, right?
But again, this is a long play, right? This is brand building.
I agree. It's brand building. People will consume it, but they've all got to be on. We've got to spend this money and directly attribute it to a sale, which I think is the wrong way to go with any sort of content sort of stuff. Okay. But I understand from a business point of view why you would. Long form content. Look, I just think I can only see more people doing it. I can't see it
creating.
Yeah, more people creating long form content. Yeah. More people, having niches which are more prominent, and more people building audiences. I can't see podcasting. I think will still here to stay. It's obviously not a hidden thing anymore. It's done by everyone's seems to have their own podcast now. But I think getting productions will get better, storytelling will get better, shows will get better, and I think there'll be a lot more money put into podcasting. There's obviously
the Rogan deal and the Simmons deal.
Yeah, and Spotify, but obviously podcast Australia, one in Australia and things like that. People investing into podcasts actually going, I've got someone's attention for an hour. Paying for that attention in that hour from that show, I think will be something that will happen a lot more.
So how do you monetize? Not that you've had to do this with gyms, right? But how would you monetize? Like, I'm not monetized at all. How do people start something like this, get some followers, and then monetize?
Well, I think a lot of people who do end up, from what I can tell, people who have a plan to monetize their content from the start never do.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I sort of think if you come out with a plan and go, I'm going to produce this content, and then in a year's time I want to try and sell you into a course that I'm doing or something like that. Yeah. I just don't think I haven't really seen anywhere online where that's happened. A lot of channels that I think are really successful, it's more of I just want to give you value. And then if they do happen to develop a product or some coaching or something down the track, they put the offer out there, and they're selling by not selling thing, and they generally do well. I think if your intention is to monetize your content from the start, I think you're in trouble.
Sabotages you?
I think it does. This is my personal opinion. I think there's obviously very smart people out there who can probably set up a channel with a framework and then monetize it. But I just think, personally, me, that wouldn't be authentic to myself. I think just putting valuable things out there to start with, and if people like it, then great. If they've got a demand for a product or they ask me to do something, then I would look at making a product to then monetize it later on.
Okay, I agree with you. I certainly, for me, I found that creating content is hard, and to do it regularly, and you give up if you're just trying to make money. So doing it out of passion is great. But why do you think it sabotages you? Because I have friends who want to start a business selling Alibaba products or whatever, and all they're doing is thinking, how can I profit? How can I quit my job? And they inevitably, 99%, give up or fail.
Well, this is a passion project for you at the moment, right? If I put it back to you, so why do you keep doing it? Well, I think we were talking before off camera, but it was a really great thing you said.
I can't remember what I said.
About the eulogy. We saw a big gap, right? Yeah. I thought it was a really cool.
That was from Goggins' book. Well, you're the guest. Tell me what Goggins says to do about the eulogy.
Well, the one book I recommend is David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. Everyone wants to recommend audiobooks, but this has sort of changed my life. I can relate to him a lot. We have a similar background when we were younger. But basically, when he uses the analogy, when he gets to the pearly gates, David Goggins, and he says, you should have been this, but you present as this, which is not what you could have been. And you don't want to be that person. You don't want to leave anything unturned or not knowing what your true potential was, right? So leave anything unturned. So similar to what you said, there's a gap, if people want to be remembered for this or remembered for this, and video is great because you can have a legacy.
Yes.
With online video content now.
Good. You
can have a legacy, and that's why with the gym stuff, it's not. I know Jim's getting a bit old and Jim will live for another 30 years, but we've got a great library legacy now.
Yeah,
where off him, if something God forbid, happen, which it won't. But
Yeah.
you know, I've got so much stuff. You will know the brand gyms for the next 30 years or 20 years.
True.
And with yourself now, what you're creating for yourself, people will know you, you know, for 20, 30, you know, a lot longer. So
did Goggins do that practical exercise that I told you about? Was that?
Yeah, I think it was just a story. I think it was just a story he used. But when he's told me that, I've definitely related to it in what he said. But he's basically, you know, at the end of your life, do you think you've really achieved what you could have achieved? Okay. And can you be harsh enough on yourself to ask yourself that question and go, I'm definitely not what I think I am? And then can you take the actionable steps to actually then go and do something about it? Okay. You know, and not many people do. And,
no, it was hard. Well, I'll tell everyone what I actually did is I wrote 2 eulogies. So I wrote the eulogy if I died tomorrow, what would people say? And then I wrote the eulogy of what I would like them to say, and they were radically different.
Really?
It's embarrassing.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think that'd be for most people. But but that's a great exercise to be able to do it. It's probably a sobering thing as well. You think
it is.
And then you're like, well, I've got all this improvement to do. But in that improvement's the excitement, right? And then you can go, and then you probably reevaluate what's in your life that's passionate, and then you can maybe focus on that, right? So, cause this is obviously a passion project for you, and you know, you do some great stuff, and you do a lot of great stuff.
Thank you.
You know, I do watch a bit of it, and it's very impressive. Oh. So I wish I could actually be probably more like you for my own stuff, but it's something where that exercise, just sitting down, being critical of yourself, and saying, have I done or am I what I can be? And if not, what are the steps, or what can you do to then change that? So
that's going to be a little grab right there, what you just said. I'll put that out.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do you like lamb?
Lamb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you eat meat?
I do, yeah.
Oh, I've got a lamb on the spit roast outside. I don't know how busy you are, but you're welcome to eat it with me.
Absolutely, it'd be great. Thank you.
I thought I'd bring up the lamb to help you relax.
Yeah.
No, you seem relaxed, but earlier you said, you know.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous, a bit tight in the chest, so I feel, I know what our franchisees and our franchisors feel now when I interview them, because I do a lot of Zoom interviews now, and they go, they're a bit nervous. I'm sort of like, oh, don't worry, it'll be easy. So
what should we do? Do you reckon I don't know how Rogan does it. Just talk first. Well, he gets them drunk. They they smoke and they drink. I don't really want to do that. So
I do drink, but yeah.
I guess I could ply you with alcohol before we start.
Up to you.
Yeah, okay, content creation. Oh, it's such a joy for me, and I like what you're saying about having a legacy to leave behind, because some people have noticed, talking to Gary Vee says this is how you do it. They start trying to make money or quit their jobs, but then 3 months, 6 months later they say, oh, forget that. Like, I'm just having such good fun. My kids have a memory of me forever. And I think really what we're doing is we're talking about building brand for the individual, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We haven't really, as a society, thought about brands that way, except for maybe Justin Bieber and whatever. It's all brands have always been about ANZ or what have you. And so I'm very interested in this this thing that's happening where we're making brands out of ourselves.
Well, people are making $1 million livings of being personal branding coaches, right?
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lady called Ruby Lee. All she does is coach people on their personal brand to be their authentic self. I think it's her LinkedIn tagline. You'll see personal branding coaches all over LinkedIn. It's becoming a big business.
PR for individuals.
PR for individuals, basically. And I think, you know, it's very contrived. You know, you got to have a really great headshot, and then you meet that person in real life, they look nothing like their headshot. Or it's really well a lot of contrived stuff. But I think everyone is a brand. You are a brand. Every person, no matter if you like it or not, if you don't think of it that way, everyone's got values and you know, what you can project onto others, how you present yourself, things like that.
Well, even before social, right? We're a brand. Like, you'd be known amongst your friends a particular way.
Absolutely. Well, it's a great point, Matthew, and I never really... That's true.
Did you just call me Matthew?
I did.
I feel like I'm in trouble.
No, well, I don't know what they're called. You're putting your name in Matthew, so I'm going to call you by your name.
I don't care.
I don't care. You go by Matt? Okay. But I think, you're right. You know, what would your friend say? Or your friend would probably describe you in 3 or 4 words, right? And is that what you really want to be aligned with, right? So your behaviours also have to reflect what you want to be known for. So you know, you don't want to be one thing behind closed doors and like this the other way. So that's why it's good working with Jim so much, is because the way he is behind closed doors is exactly the way he presents on camera. It's pretty much the same thing. And with the whole you know, recent lockdown, with him doing all the big media outlets like Seven and things like that, it's exactly who he is, and he's sticking by his mantra, which is the franchisees first. So yeah.
You're pretty cheeky with him, I've noticed.
I am. I think that's why a lot of the franchisors like it.
Yeah, I like it.
Like, I get away with it a little bit. I think it's good. You know, you got to have that banter on it. You know, especially in podcasts and things like that. You can't, if it's a serious topic, then fair enough. But I think Yeah, that's why I miss The Office, because in The Office we definitely banter a lot more than via Zoom. You know,
Of course.
he likes, because we sit next to each other.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can definitely get back in there and hopefully soon and do it. But he likes to give me crap about my weight and all this sort of thing. And he'll go after the show. He'll generally go to me, "Oh, you know, you didn't give me enough back tonight, or you didn't say this to me. You should call me this. You should say this."
Oh,
to me."
he's asking for ribbing.
Absolutely, he's giving me material. So I'm like, "You're my boss, Jim. I can't go too hard." So it's sort of a bit of a balance. But you know, he goes, "Oh, call me Skeleton or call me Skeletor," or "I liked it when you call me weak old man," or something like that. And
does he does he insult you about your weight? He says, "Call me Skeleton, I'll call you fat," or something.
Yeah, no, I just you know, he looked down, he'll try and, what can I give him grief about? And he'll pick on that or whatever it is, and then
I used to weigh 145 kilos.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to talk about
Can't tell.
weight or not. Thanks.
No.
I'm working on it.
No, I couldn't tell.
Is weight? Can we talk
No,
about
I'm
weight?
fine about weight. Yeah, no.
So have you? I grew up fat. Did you grow up fat?
I grew up really skinny.
You grew up really skinny.
Yeah, I got really skinny. So hit the gym really hard, and yeah.
You look average man in Australia.
Yeah.
You don't look fat.
No, but that's what Jim just says, because I'm fat compared to him. He's only
okay.
he's only a regular man. He's only 60 kilos, or he's all skin and bones. So
What's it like to grow up skinny? I've never been skinny.
what's it like to grow up skinny? You play a lot of sport, a lot of energy, but it all goes as you get a bit older, as you know.
Well, I've gone the other way.
Yeah, well, if you told me you're 145 before, I wouldn't believe you. So
So if someone grows up, this is what I'm thinking, right? If someone grows up fat, like I did, they learn social coping skills beyond looks. Especially, let's say, if a really, really good-looking girl, they would learn from a young age to rely on their looks or bat their eyelids, just in small micro encounters with people at the coffee shop or whatever, to get favour when you're being served at a bar or whatever.
Absolutely. Rules of life don't apply to good-looking women.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And men as well. Now, I didn't have that, so I had to develop a bit of humour and I had to become a nice person.
Yeah.
And then now, hopefully, I can start to look better and I'll be a great package. And I'm already married, but whatever. But whereas people who grow up good-looking, I find like later in life, often there's a lack, if they're really good-looking, there's a lack of personality there.
Absolutely. They do struggle, and they're boring people.
I feel sorry for them.
Absolutely. That's very, very true. I know a couple of people like that, and then, it's like, well, what else you got? And that's what happens. You know, you may be hot, but what else you got? So, definitely one of those things.
What do you do if my daughters are really good-looking? Because my wife's Swedish, I'm half Asian, half New Zealand. So my daughters are going to be too good-looking. This is my problem.
Well, I just don't think make any exceptions. You know, rules of life apply to.
Don't let them get away.
Don't let them get away with anything. That's what I would say.
What do you think about children and content?
Good question. Obviously, YouTube has the thing: is this content made for children or not?
Yeah, no, but the children being made
content
famous.
Creators. Yeah. I think it's an interesting one. Obviously, you know, I don't think a lot of the parents start out that way, because they're big business. That young kid who does all the toys on YouTube,
Earning millions of dollars.
You know, the thing is, I don't think they started out, you know, with their intention to do that at all. It's just sort of morphed into that. But I think I'd have a problem if you know, the parents trying to monetize their kid by doing so. Absolutely, I think that would be wrong. But I think it'd be great. It's good fun. You know, kids consume a lot of content now. They're addicted to their iPads and their phones.
Yeah.
You know, why not have something where they're actually making the content as opposed to consuming it?
So film them and put them out. It's a dangerous world out there, though.
It is. You'd have to be comfortable with that as a parent, I presume. I'm not a parent, so I would not know. But you'd have to be comfortable with it, and you would obviously want to be.
You married?
No, definitely not. No, I'm definitely not.
Joel's available.
I've got a girlfriend. So,
okay.
Yeah, I've got a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, you'd have to be careful with that. But I've thought about that, because it's a whole new world they're growing up in. Like, Gary Vee is going to be old school by the time they're our 20s.
Well, I agree. It's going to be scary what comes next. Like, what could you? I'm going to ask you, what could you see beyond?
From our childhood into the social, and then now what?
Yeah, I just don't know. Is it virtual reality things? Is it AR stuff? I don't really know.
Well, they're the technologies, right? But the technology is just the things we stand on.
Yeah.
It's the culture that changes.
True. Well, I think there's a lot of people are becoming more open online, more freer, right? Whereas they'll tell people stuff about themselves. They're probably more comfortable doing it on video, or on their vlog, as opposed to actually talking to their parents or talking to their friends about things.
Oh yeah, like about weight and stuff. Kind of stuff.
You know, people.
True.
Yeah, and I just think it's almost. I think content creation can almost be a bit of therapy in a way.
It is.
You know, especially with my podcast I talked to a girl. We had a similar experience growing up, and she works with a charity in Melbourne. And it was just like good meeting someone you could actually talk to. On record about certain things, and it was very therapeutic. So, I think from a content creation point of view, I think it being used as a therapy. I don't know, maybe that's something moving forward, but it'll be scary to see what happens in the next 10 to 15 years, because you're right, the Gary Vee sort of stuff that we really like, will be outdated. So what will replace it, I don't know. Got no idea.
He thinks we're all going to live to 100, so he'll be here telling us some stuff.
As an old man, he'll still be going off the walking stick, and true. But
well, his theory is that everything's going to be broken down into brand, as in commoditization, right, of goods and services is happening all over the world. Amazon, China, blah blah blah. The only way to stand out, same with services, like you're a real estate agent. How do you stand out from the other real estate agents? You brand and you make videos on what it's like to sell a house, what it's like to set up for an auction. So that's his theory. Everyone goes to brand, and the first ones who get there win.
I agree. And the voice is obviously big in voice search and things like that as well. So having that brand signal. How
do we leverage voice?
It's a good question. Something I've started trying to raise with our franchisors. I actually had a voice mowing app made, so you actually go, call, hey, Jim's mowing, and start doing the lawn mower and say, this is Jim's mowing, what can we do for you?
And then what happens then, though?
And then basically it says, what can we do for you today? And then it lists the range of services. Would you like to request a quote? What do you need done?
Oh, so it's a website, basically.
Yeah, it scans the website, and then basically they submit it to the Google developers. Yeah. And then gives them a bunch of options and things like that. And then that's the next thing. I think a lot of voice SEO is a big thing.
Okay.
And then you can actually have it when you have, let's say if you had a device in your home, you could say, hey Google, show me how to get a good edge on my lawn, and they'd pull up, this is how you do it, and pull up the video from Jim's mowing with the guy doing the edge, that sort of stuff.
Well, it's a funny thing, because I'm so into Jim's brand now. If I was to want to look up lawn mowing stuff, I used to go on YouTube and write how to edge a lawn. I wouldn't do that now. I would go to Jim's mowing and I would search edging. Because I've seen you guys talk about how you got to flip the whip snipper over upside down and all this kind of stuff.
Very controversial topic, how to use a whip snipper. I tell you, we got so much heat when we did that.
Yeah.
Like all because there's around 1,900 mowing franchisees, right? And everyone's they're all experts in the grade what they do. There's all different techniques. You got to hold it by the head, or why is he walking backwards? You should be walking forward. Should be on the other side. So very controversial those videos are.
Yeah.
But we have obviously we have them on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, those sort of things, and they live on the website as well. But I think people. The old comment I used to get, why would we want to show someone how to edge their lawn?
It's so helpful.
Exactly, but a lot of people who watch that stuff don't actually do it.
No, well I do, but
yeah. Well, that's fantastic, but a lot of people just watch it. They're just interested in it.
It's amazing.
They just like seeing it being done, and then they will then think of Jim's next time they need their lawn mowed because I've seen a guy show me how to use an edger.
So this is what I find interesting though, is the way I search for the information. Is I would actually say to Alexa in 10 years from now, show me Jim's how does Jim edge? I wouldn't, it's specific about the brand. And I'm hoping that's what happens here. People are like, what does Discernable say about the emergency bill?
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And that's how I think it's going to then categorize content and then provide that result to someone. How they do it, if it's whether it's say bring up something and it brings it up on a screen, or it reads it back out to you. Having that content there. That's why I think the important stuff doing a lot of video now. I think doing this video now, I think as it gets more advanced, don't get me wrong and put anything in the comments about search engines, but they'll start, obviously they say they scan video. I know they say they crawl the video and stuff like that to see what it's about.
Transcripts. Yeah,
things like that, but I don't think it's what they say. So I think by having this stuff now, I think eventually...
they will be able to crawl it later.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, and that's the way I look at it. So all the stuff we're putting out now will just get crawled a lot better as we go, and then we'll be more relevant and more brand into those very relevant search engines.
So what do you think would be the safest way to prepare for that? Would be to video, just put out heaps of video, and then you're covered, because that covers your audio, covers your brand.
Yeah, I personally think video. I think video, much long form video content as you can. You can obviously get that Gary Vee content deck on how to repurpose it. And
pillar content model,
Pillar content model, just repurpose it. And think what you've got is actually people are interested in it. No matter what you do, someone is interested in what you do, no matter what it is.
Right.
Could be installing smoke alarms, could be mowing a lawn, whatever it is. People are interested in what you do. So don't think you're not interesting. Everyone is interesting. Everyone's got something to say. And I think that's what people get hung up on, is like, I'm not that interesting or whatever. Absolutely, everyone is interesting. And when I'm on the other side of this, when I interview our franchisees and franchisors, I enjoy finding out about every other person. You find out so many things about everyone. So just know that everyone's got something valuable to offer the world, no matter what it is.
So you are often in this chair having an interesting time with other people. You must have learned a lot.
I have. I've learned that I should buy a franchise, and I haven't yet. So I think that's probably more because I'm loyal to probably gyms, and I like what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I really do like what I do. But yeah, I probably learnt. Don't thumb your nose at the service industry, and that's another thing I didn't say at the start. Like,
what do you mean?
I think a lot of people, they get sold the narrative. You know, in school you've got to go to uni. If you don't go to uni, you're going to be
low level
whatsoever. Mowing lawns, cleaning business, dog wash, whatever it is, right?
You got millionaires mowing
Correct.
lawns.
And this is the thing, I don't think people realise the actual potential of the home services industry. They don't understand the potential in it. And I see it all the time. You've got people who, if they went through the typical system, they might be on 65, 60k a year, mid-40s, unhappy, lot of debt. Whereas they can go and have a mowing and garden care franchise, earn six figures, which they would, and be a lot happier, fitter, healthier. People just thumb their nose at this service industry, and I don't know why. It's because of the, maybe it's probably a lot of the content online saying, it's easy, just do a startup, get some venture capital, get some seed funding.
Yeah, the sexy stuff.
Sexy stuff, right? Whereas the not sexy stuff is actually making you a lot higher chance of success, and it's something and you're going to make a good income doing it.
How common is it for them to earn over 100k in
Well, we presume most franchisees are turning over at least 100k, or wouldn't be worth it with franchise fees and things like that. So our presumption is that most franchisees make 100k. I did an interview with a franchisee called Dan Cahill, 26, and he turned over 480 grand in his second year. Yeah. He's a mowing and garden care franchisee.
Yeah, and then minus all of his staff.
Minus his staff, so minus his fees and stuff.
Yeah, but do you reckon he's on 50k or is he on...
You'd be netting probably maybe 180.
Okay.
170.
Very, very good life.
Very good life, And it's a 26-year-old, and this is a guy who was a manager at Macca's.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
So the kids who's going down the let's say the doctor or law sort of path, he'll be earning more money than those people at the same age, most likely.
We both did law. Hated it. We did nothing with it.
True, I did nothing with it at all. I did it for my mum, so my mum's got my degree, and
she's got your degree.
Yeah, I gave it to my mum. I just gave it to her. She's in a nursing home at the moment, unfortunately, so I had to put her in one. Yeah. But she's got my degree. I did it for her, and I'm happy I did it. But she wanted me to do it, but it was the most useless and expensive 50 grand I've ever spent. So.
50 grand.
Yeah.
I think mine was like 90.
90?
I did a double.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
90 grand for a double.
I think it was. I maybe
was that?
Years ago. UTS in Sydney.
UTS. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money for a double degree.
Yeah, I can't recall.
Yeah, but I never used it. But I think that I'll solve that narrative. You do law, you do medicine, you'll be successful. Whereas I'm learning from all our franchisees that's not the case, and you should do something what you like to do. And I just like talking to them. You get a lot of energy from talking to franchisees. Yeah. I like going out on the road and seeing their operations, and they're doing great things for themselves and their families. And it's not BS. If you want to find out about gyms, you just watch those podcasts or the interviews with our franchisees. They're not contrived. I don't send them any questions before.
Yeah.
It's not edited. It's just that's it. And they tell you how much they're making and how much happy they are.
It's funny. I watch those day in the life of whatever Jim's fencing guy.
Oh, yep, Justin, yeah.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, Justin Trainer, yeah, he's a good guy.
Or a mowing guy. And then I'm watching him thinking, he's a good salt of the earth, tradie type guy. And then I find out, no, he used to be the head of finance at some bank or something.
Correct, corporate finance, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And the other guy's an ex-police officer. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, Matt Thorpe was the ex-police officer. Yeah, the day in life. So we're going to do a lot more of them. I love them because they're our best for me. If you're not a bad gyms franchise, you just watch that. But we have a lot of people from so many backgrounds, high management positions, corporate guys, and the good thing about them is they have those business fundamentals down, and they can scale their business operation really quickly. So within a year or two, they might have 2 to 3 trailers on the road, and they've replaced their income at their previous job with doing the mowing and garden care franchise, for example, or fencing with Justin. He might work 3 to 4 days a week and earn a similar amount of money. But people thumb their nose up at doing manual tasks for whatever reason, and a lot of my family's are dairy farmers and stuff like that. So for me, it's definitely not the case. But I think there's just that if there's no sexiness to that home services or industry, and that's sort of doing this sort of content, trying to show people, hey, if you want actually a better chance of earning a 6-figure income, you're better off statistically probably doing this as opposed to doing this, and you'll be a lot happier doing it as well.
It's hard to get past the suits and stuff though. Like, I'll go to law school and I'll look like this. Or I see your guys wearing the gym shirt in fluoro, and you just don't associate that they're earning more than the guy in the suit. I
don't know if Jim mentioned it, but there's a book, The Millionaire Next Door.
Yeah, it's a great book.
He would have mentioned it, yeah? Have you read it as well?
Oh, I've read it as a kid, years ago, but he didn't mention it.
But the home services industry is probably, that's your chance. If you want to make, you can be a millionaire in the home services industry, and you've got a higher chance probably doing that.
Why is that growing as a market demand? People just don't want to do that.
People just don't want to do it. People don't have the skills to do it.
But we're losing the skills? 'Cause
Maybe, yeah, I don't know if we're losing the skills, but we're pretty lucky. We can train someone up pretty well in doing it.
Yeah.
But I just think a lot of people just don't want to do the work. That doesn't have that image, as you said before, that suit and stuff like that. That just doesn't have that image. Whereas they might be rocking up with their boots on and their high vis and some stubby shorts on.
And a picture of Jim here. It's not that cool, really.
Being called Jim. Well, we're trying to make it a bit more cooler. So I think maybe Jim's Black Jim's t-shirt, but we'll keep the brand's going to stay the same. We've had a few people a few times want to make it change the branding and stuff, but I think that logo will be iconic. And
you can't change it.
Can't change. We got Jim's Monopoly now. And we can't change it. So.
What?
Yeah.
Monopoly game?
We do, yeah. So Jim basically goes to me one day, someone asked Jim, said, oh, we should have Jim's Monopoly. Then Jim after the show goes, oh, we should do Monopoly. Can you make it happen?
How do you do that? Can anyone get their own Monopoly set?
You can, yeah.
Oh, where do we do it?
It's called Winning Moves. Winning Moves, a company in Sydney. They'll arrange it with you as well. You have to do a 1,500 minimum order quantity, but you can have your own Monopoly for whatever you want.
Okay.
It was a bit of money, but but we got it done, and we got a Jim Script Monopoly now, and we can start posting them out again, which is great from the office. And we've got a game. Me and Jim played a game with our two content boys, and it's good fun.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like everyone loves being at gyms. I mean, we need to stop talking about gyms. It's a giant gyms ad, but I guess that's what you do. You seem to really love it. I do. Well, that's why I'm still there. So I haven't bought a franchise yet. But I do. Look, it's a tough place to work. I don't know how much people got that from Jim, but Jim's he's a brilliant man. He's got a lot of ideas, but it's a very, very tough place to work. Everything's very lean. Yeah. It's you got to do things yourself. You can't be a delegator at head office, but it's a good environment. I'm very lucky. Yeah. What are your plans moving forward? Just keep building our content, keep getting better. Hopefully, stay there for as long as I can. I like working with gyms. You want to stay at gyms? Absolutely. I like working there. I think I can do like 10 more years. Yeah, more. Depending on how long you'll have me and put up with me annoying him. But we see a lot of each other probably too much when we do all these videos and things. But I love working there. I love what we do. It generally does help people. I know this sounds like an advertisement, but I enjoy the job, and it gives me a lot of trust and learning new skills, like all the videos and stuff. I would never have thought 2 or 3 years ago I'd be doing, being asked to do an interview on the content I do, for example. It's not something I would have imagined, and it's thanks to gyms and our franchisors and Z's who allow us to do it. Don't you get tempted by the success of because if you work for someone, you're capped at... You are. Highest level pay, 180K or something. You don't really get above 150. If you want to earn 300, 400, you're going to have to leave. Well, that's true. Maybe one day that might be the case to do it. But I think still gather as much knowledge as I can, keep learning and build a lot of networking and stuff as well. I've met a lot of great people for gyms who I would call friends outside of this, post this. But you're right. That might be the decision. But what vehicle will I choose to make that 300 and 400 grand? It's something I still haven't decided. What's my passion? It's something I don't want to. I've always said if I'm going to do a business or a company, it's got to be something I'm passionate about. Yes. I'm never going to bother. So I still haven't found that. I'm passionate about what I actually do my job. So. Jim's probably lucky in that regard. I'm actually really passionate about what I do. I don't really have a passion where I think I can give it a full crack to monetize yet. I haven't found it at the moment. So, but then I guess the question is, do people even need or want that kind of money? Sometimes I wonder if we chase it and what's the point? Well, you've been obviously very, very successful yourself. Did it when you did that analysis? Did it even come into when you were doing it? Oh, when I was depressed. Yeah, and I just did this out of passion. Yeah, but I sit across from people earning anywhere from 0 to Jim. I don't know what he earns, millions. And everyone has a different sort of priority structure. And I'm noticing that the common thread amongst all of them, though, is that money should not be the thing you chase. No, it's definitely a byproduct. It's an empty goal. It is. It's an empty goal. It's a byproduct. You've got to try and find a purpose. I'm still probably trying to find my purpose myself. I haven't probably found it yet. But I think if you have a purpose or a passion, you'll be happy earning no matter what. If it's 40 grand, 100 grand, whatever. As long as you've got something you're really passionate or purpose, you think that gives you purpose and fulfillment. I think money will follow, or money might not even be relevant to what you're doing as long as you're doing something you really like. Can we talk about your journey trying to find purpose? Because you have a keen understanding of like Gary Vee, David Goggins, and therefore I think all the other greats that we can name, which are very much self-aware type people, encouraging you to find your purpose. How are you going with it? It's hard. It's very hard. My younger sister tends to lecture me a bit about it, but it's very hard. I come from a different background to most. We pretty had much
pretty much traumatic childhood.
Because of your mum?
Yeah, I had a single mum with bipolar, and her bipolar was really bad. Always in and out of psychiatric wards and stuff. And because you have an old man around, you always be in foster homes or friends' families, and you're trying to. And back in the day, it was very stigmatised still.
Yeah.
So you would never talk about it. There was no support services for kids, so you basically just mum's in the psychiatric ward, and you'd be at a friend's house the next day. And then.
So your ward must feel very unstable.
Yeah, and that's why I probably like being at gym so long, because it's a stable environment for me, and that's why I like probably working for someone. So trying to get out of my comfort zone a bit and have that instability, or trying to challenge myself, is something I probably need to work on. Probably just trying to find what I'm purpose about. So I've started dabbling a bit into my own podcast, which is about mental health.
What's it called? So people can.
It's called Authentic Convos with Joel Kleber. I don't know if that's going to be the name. I'm just sort of dabbled in it. Haven't been consistent at all.
You can find it on Google, Spotify.
Yep. But it's more, trying to create stuff that I would find useful if I was a young person again. So, if I was a young kid again, there was no resources, there was no counselling, no nothing for this, and there still probably isn't. There's maybe one organisation that I know of called Satellite, who actually help young kids who have parents in those situations with resources and workshops and things like that. So it's hard. I've listened to a lot of content, probably like yourself, but when you actually try and apply it to yourself and be real for yourself, I just find it really hard.
You do much Jordan Peterson?
I love Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
You've done his authoring suite?
No, I haven't. No.
It's cheap online. It's like $30 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and you self-authoring suite where you write out. Anyway, have a look at that.
And you've done it? Yeah.
I've done the first part.
Okay.
There's the second part as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've only done like 20%.
I'll take a note of that, because definitely, it's all well and good, doing these things and listening to this content, but applying it to yourself and really applying it to yourself. Can you do it? I don't think a lot of people do. We like to sort of go wishy-washy and I've listened to this and I've really absorbed it, but try and actually sit down and apply it. So probably haven't done that yet. I do know I love doing video content. I love talking to people. I love doing things, hosting things and stuff like that. But whether that's in a paid capacity or whether it's probably doing something like yourself in regards to content that I would want to put out there or like, is another story. It's probably take me a bit more longer on that journey to get there.
With you growing up, this is a bit off topic, but I'm fascinated by the brokenness in my childhood, which I think sounds a little bit less broken than yours. But still, I find myself reacting because of the way I grew up. And I was thinking about the way you grew up. Does that sense of insecurity affect you as an adult?
Absolutely, it does. You probably become less risk. Don't take as many risks. That's probably why I've worked at gyms for so long. I love working there, but it's probably why I haven't sort of gone. I'm probably at an age now where I can sort of go and I've got enough skills and I can do something else, but it just sort of pulls you back. And I think, and that's why, the content I've done is I posted a lot online on my own personal Facebook, and I don't have, that's pretty private, but I had a lot of messages from people saying, I went through the same thing. Yeah. And you're right, your childhood definitely does, it shouldn't define you, but it and everyone says it shouldn't define you, let go of the past and all that sort of stuff. But it's a lot easier said than done. In those formative years, you've got those events happen, or those traumatic events happen to you. It takes a really special person to really fully deal with those and not have them affect them. It's always going to shape who you are. And to be honest with you, you can't change it, and I wouldn't probably change it, if I could, because it's made me who I am today.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, why would you? I think I'm happy with myself and things like that. But I definitely think, you got to constantly keep working on yourself and things like that. I didn't do counselling until I was probably 28. You did
I've never done counselling.
Yeah.
Is it good?
It was okay for me, more just talking in an anonymous sort of level with someone, just getting things out.
Okay.
But as growing up in the environment I did, that you think I would have done that, but I was way more adverse to psychologists than that, just based on my experiences with them when I was younger. So.
Because back then, when you were younger, they were removing you and
drilling
exactly. You and
spot on. So they were basically the ones taking the old girl away and things like that, or putting too much medication or giving the ECT and things like that. So. That's why I always distance myself from that, and those, and that does affect you as you go a bit older. I'm a bit more mature now, but you definitely do a bit more riskier things in your youth and things like that. And I think the other thing that comes from it is the victim mentality. We all have.
Did you have that?
Absolutely. And people know me. Probably when I was 24, 25, said, we didn't like you from this age to this age. Oh. Yeah, pretty much because of that victim mentality, that victim mindset, and it was basically. Took sort of an intervention from my family or from my uncles to sort of not invite me to any sporting events when they take all my cousins and things like that to really sink it through.
How did that manifest for you, being the victim?
How did it manifest?
Yeah, how did you...
Well, I think when you're younger, you think, when I've had all this hard life, you think things are just going to be given to you or it's going to happen, and, you have a lot of resentment for things at the time, and you think it's just going to go away and all things are going to happen for you. That's not how the world treats you. They only know you who you are. They don't know your story. They don't know your background. So they can only treat you as you come to them.
Yeah.
So you don't wear your life story in your sleeve.
Yeah.
So once I got over that, I actually started being someone I'd like to be around and things like that. Things started happening for me.
Yeah.
Work went better. Relationships with family went better. Once I just sort of put that aside and said, look, that's crap, that's happened, or that circumstance has happened to you, let's move on. And that's why I love this book, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins so much, is because...
Similar story,
but he had more physical abuse, so,
right.
from his dad.
Right.
But, and he always used that as his excuse all the time, and then just basically one day snapped out of it and went bang. And that's sort of the same thing with me. I think you have all these things there, and just one moment, this moment of clarity where you go, nah, it's on me to change and to be who I want to be. And you just do it, and then, it just takes time for some people. But it just happens.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's encouraging to let you know that I barely, I've just met you, watching you in the past month or two, and you definitely don't come across as a victim. So you've clearly kicked it.
Well, I hope so. It took a lot to do that. And that's I appreciate that. But it definitely took a lot to work on. But I think a lot of people, in some small scales or not, will play their victim, whether it be in business even for themselves. I blame this person, I blame this person, I blame this person. Where you are in life is truly a result of your actions and your decisions up until then. No matter what, there might be some circumstances which are a bit different, but how you control your attitude, how you present to people is something you can control, regardless of what's happened in the past, I think. Yeah.
What do you think of the victim mindset coming out of government, political leaders, and business right now?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one. Obviously, with Jim being such at the forefront with it, and I've watched you a lot more well-adversed and smart, a lot more intelligent on these subjects than what I am. But I think you just got to adapt. I think businesses, it might sound really harsh to say this, but
Go harsh.
It might be the kick in the ass that some businesses needed to adapt to online things, for example. It's forced a lot of their hands to go online. Obviously, e-commerce is booming now. Yep. E-commerce, in my opinion, should have been booming before this lockdown. Yes. I don't know why. It's just so much more easy. But
and remote working and all of that.
Yeah. And like retail shops, there's no need for a retail clothing shop now, in my opinion.
Really?
This is what
How dare you?
I know. How dare I say that? But
I love Lululemon.
Okay, really?
There's just some stores that make a good experience.
Yeah, well, I'm sure I think a store having an experience in a store is another thing.
Yes.
I think having it where you solely sell your things is gone. I think if you actually have, a brand store or an experience store, like this is our brand's experience in this store, but you purchase your things online is where everything needs to go. And unfortunately, a lot of these little retailers now have to go online or have to go to business or do something else. So I think it's sort of forced a lot of people to really reevaluate as well what they want to do in life. So I'm thinking a lot of small businesses and stuff in this time, if they fail, that person can now really look at themselves and go, what do I want to do? Or really have some really good self-analysis. It's very tough on people, I can understand, but I think it's definitely forced a lot of people to look at themselves.
Have you seen the meme, who led the digital transformation at your business? A, B, or C? It's the CFO, the CEO, or COVID-19.
COVID-19, I have seen that one. It's very true. It's extremely true. But, we're going to have there's going to be some couple of big tech giants that emerge from this and start up all during this time. And, they'll go, this is because of this. So there'll be a lot more positives out of it. But the victim mindset, I understand everyone's got a right to feel that way, but you only feel sorry for yourself so long, and it will only get you so far. So I just take stock at this time, maybe use that free time to upskill, to actually get to the core of what you are, and then see if you can make a career out of that or make a business out of that moving forward. Readjust. And
this is quite bold what you're saying, because we are here in Metro Victoria where businesses are smashed.
True.
And we both obviously, I think you're similar to me, don't think that's very good.
No.
Obviously Jim's very vocal
Definitely
about it. Okay, so we're anti that. Yeah. But what you're saying is quite bold. I mean, you would apply that advice even to those businesses who are suffering.
Yes, I would. I think we can't, we can much pressure we can put on the media. Well, I know Jim's done as much as he can from his point of view. He's done a great job, but what else can you really do? You can defy the lockdown like people have and get some PR for their businesses, which is fantastic, and people rallying around and supporting them. But if you're not inclined that way, what other option do you really have?
Adapt.
I think adapt. I think use the time now to adapt. Adapt your business. Adapt yourself as a person. Maybe reevaluate yourself, what you've done in your life, to sort of go, and that's relationships not working or whatever it is, and then use this time now to make a big change because there's no other time like this going to be again. So it might be the only opportunity people have to make the change right now.
You're going deep, Joel.
I'm trying to.
Do you reckon
I'm rambling on a bit? I'm listening to myself and going, geez, I'm trying to work out how to end a sentence and things like this, and I'm rambling on.
You're the guest. It's good. It's good. Yeah, you're right though that this will probably never happen again. Well, I don't know. Maybe it will happen again, but I feel like this is a once in a lifetime thing. My mum never saw she's dead now, but she never saw the war. She lived in this Goldilocks zone between 1950. She was born in 55 and she died whenever 5 years ago. Nothing really happened.
Yeah, well, it's a once in a lifetime event, and our kids will never know what it was like. You can tell them as much as you want, but they're never going to know that Melbourne was barren, in the streets, or everything was closed. You couldn't get a beer at a pub and things like this. So,
you hear 400,000? I think 400,000 people have left. I don't know. That's right.
Queensland will be very happy. They'll probably all go up to Queensland or wherever they are. They're already half of Victoria's in Queensland anyway. So
there's that guy on the yacht who sailed out during the lockdowns from
the Melbourne businessman,
up to Brisbane.
Well, good luck to you if you can do that. If you've got a super yacht, you can do it. I'd be on the same boat with you. So,
oh my goodness.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how. I'm hoping for me personally, being from the country or growing up in the country, I'd love to see regional areas benefit from this, and that's the way I look at it. Let's see, workplaces have finally had their hands forced where, hey, we don't need an office. And that's with Jim. I remember before the lockdown, he used to say, can we do 4 days a week? Or I'd flick through studies from Sweden saying they're going to 4 days a week, or they're doing remote in the traditional thing. Oh no, you've got to be in the office. Whereas that's been absolutely demythed now, that you have to have a big environment like that. So do those commercial places get repurposed for something else that's actually more beneficial to society? We don't know. So,
like what? I was thinking about buying commercial real estate a number of years ago.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Thank God you didn't. Yeah.
I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think repurposing all these offices? Because there's going to be a lot of ghost offices in Melbourne.
Yeah, I think wellness is a massive thing. This term wellness is a massive industry, gets thrown around, and it's a lot of woo-woo stuff. But I think, people's mental well-being, can you make creative spaces, creative zones, people to go just de-stress, more gyms, more whatever it is. I don't know. I'm just rambling on here, but
in the cities.
In the cities, why not?
More livable. We'd also need more people to live in the cities then.
Absolutely, but I think with this, if you can work from a regional area, I think the regional areas, definitely going to do better out of this. Yeah. I know in my hometown, Warrnambool, the house prices are going up and up, and can't get a rental there because people are just moving down there, and I think that's going to happen.
Do you know what else is better in the regional is the pollies. I had Richard Reardon on here a couple of days ago.
From Colac, was it?
Colac.
Yeah.
They just talk straight instead of in circles.
They do, yeah. Be like me doing that, talking in circles, but they are a bit more straight. Country people are different. City people and country people are a lot different. I think they're more open. They're generally more genuine, I think. And then, I hope the regional areas get a boost in this. I think that's going to be the positive out of this, is that people will start decentralising the workplace, and they can hopefully work remotely from other places, and those spaces in the city get repurposed to actually something that's a bit more maybe useful, more for arts, more for music, more culture, I don't know, but we'll see what happens.
Crazy time we're living in, hey?
Yeah, it very is, yes.
I think everyone's a bit nervous as to what's going to emerge.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think?
Not many people, I don't know why, but not many people throw the question back at me during these interviews.
Okay.
They don't have to. I'm just, it's very curious. Only 2 people have done it now. You and another business guy. And I'm wondering why, the guests who often go on shows, they don't. They like to talk about themselves a lot.
It's everyone's favourite subject, isn't it? And but we only had a brief chat off camera before, so I don't really know you too well. So I'm actually interested to get you know better. So if it's on a live recorded thing, then so be it. So
I think that the world is changing, and I've been fighting for the culture. I'm interested in politics and law, and I commentate on that.
Yeah.
But politics is downstream of culture. Culture is really where things are set. It's like that famous quote, "Let me write the songs of a nation. I don't care who writes its laws." And so I'm most interested to see what kind of culture is coming out of this. So one of the big things I'm looking at is the division of our community. Masks are mandated right now. And there's this big thing about if you don't wear a mask, you're trying to kill grandma. But only if you're in Victoria. If you don't wear a mask in New South Wales, you're just exercising your normal going to the shops.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how Victoria views it compared to the rest of Australia.
Yeah.
I found this out with, I'll go on about Jim, but when we did the initial 7 News thing, barrage of hate in Victoria almost, and some good stuff, but the rest of the Australia was sort of behind us.
Wow.
Now it's sort of changing a bit in Victoria. A lot more people behind his push with it. But I just don't know why Victoria views it this way and the rest of Australia doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people with different theories on this show about that.
Yeah.
But my concern there is when the mask mandate goes, what kind of division have we left within the community? I mean, my wife's already afraid to go to certain supermarkets because even if you're wearing a mask and you take it down momentarily, people can yell at you because you've taken it down to do something.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm getting a coffee, go down for a walk with the dog and get a coffee, and you feel a bit guilty taking the mask off to have a sip. It shouldn't be like that. So, but now we're conditioned that way via all the media we see with this sort of stuff, and people getting shouted down for not wearing masks. And I feel sorry for those people who actually have a genuine condition who can't wear one, and people are just making an assumption and just feel their right to go and abuse someone. So
people are buying badges now that say "Be kind to me. I have a medical exemption." There's this page called "We the Liberated" on Facebook. They sell these badges.
Okay.
Trying to disarm that anger.
Yeah, I think if if you're going down to shout someone, it's what are you doing? So
so the chief commissioner of police here in Victoria said if you see too many cars at your neighbour, call Crime Stoppers and report them. Now, one side of the argument says, look, they're breaking the COVID rules, they're spreading COVID, they're killing us all. I get it, okay? I don't agree, but whatever, fine. But then the other thing is when COVID passes, what have you just done to the street? That neighbour dobbing on that neighbour, and we're sowing discord that's going to last well beyond COVID.
Yeah, a lot of distrust, isn't it? I was told, I don't know what you're told when you're young, but I was told when I was younger, don't dob on anyone, right? You get a lot of trouble for telling on someone, and that's sort of the mantra I've always sort of gone by, the old, snitches get stitches. But
what do you do if it's bad? Like let's assume that there is like a big thing going over there, and COVID is absolutely deadly, and they're spreading it, having a COVID party, and just assume it's really dangerous. Shouldn't you? I don't know. How do you balance that? Shouldn't we dob them in?
I think a lot of people think someone else will do it, then they won't do it. Look, it's a tough one. Is it your responsibility? Well, we've been told it's our responsibility. We've heard it from the Victorian Police Commissioner to tell them. So, according to him, you've got to do it. Will it really change anything? Maybe, maybe not. Me personally, would I do it? Probably not. That's just not my nature. You would hope people are responsible enough to do it, and if they're not, that there'll be various checks in place to catch up with them. So, yeah, that was a pretty bad answer, but yeah,
it's a challenging thing. It makes me think of with content. I've been struggling with how much honesty.
Okay.
To give. I've just gone full honest, full vulnerable, and I don't care. But can you overshare when it comes to content production, especially if you're a brand like Jim's or whoever?
Good question. Really good question. I think you can. I think you're not going to show, if there's bad stuff, you're not going to show that, right? But I definitely think you can. Yeah. But I think you can undershare as well. And what I mean by undershare is all you produce is really well produced short clips of targeted, message stuff. I think there's a balance between it.
What's more common, undersharing or oversharing?
Undersharing. Undersharing because everyone has to outsource a production company, you have to work with a marketing manager, all these sort of things. Whereas with Jim's, we have in-house production, in-house media team, which is fantastic. It's the best investment we've ever made, in my opinion, in the company. It doesn't cost overly much at all. And it's been, and I don't know why more companies don't do it, but I definitely think you can overshare. If you overshare and it hurts your brand or hurts what you do, then obviously you've gone too far.
What's oversharing?
Well, it's a good question.
Because we're not talking about the social, what do you call it? The virtue signaling, which people, especially Aussies, they see a company trying to virtue signal and we slam them. But that's not what we're talking about. That's just bad content. Well, oversharing, yeah. Yeah,
well, I think with us, the thing we overshare probably a lot is, I'm sharing it again, is our franchisees can walk away if they pay a certain amount of money. And our franchisors hate that because a lot of our franchisees, they don't know their contracts overly well.
Yeah.
And that's like most people. But once they learn that they can just take their clients for a certain amount of money.
It's not much, Jim told me.
It's not much at all.
4 or 7 grand or whatever.
Yeah, it's not much at all. And then Jim just openly says a lot on Ask Jim. And that's the only negative I get from the Ask Jim stuff is that comment. But
because it hurts the franchisors.
Yeah, well, the franchisors, because the franchisee might not have known about that, and then they go and leave, right?
Right.
And they'll blame it on us. So that's an example
but you can't win by hiding facts.
I agree. It is a fact, and it is definitely well known. But that's an example where oversharing has hurt us. For an example.
What about a restaurant? So right now, one of Gary Vee's advice is, and you're in lockdown, you can't serve anyone. What you can do is get out your phone, and you can film everything, like every dish on your menu. Film how you make it. Talk about pasta. Why is it good to boil pasta this many minutes and not that many? Really get into it. But then what happens if you're sharing on social media, like they see your bins and, I don't know, just your internal workings of a restaurant and someone yelling? And
Well, that's his old wine library thing he formed, right? Going on about wines and that sort of thing. So, would you obviously wouldn't show you cleaning the kitchen, or maybe you would, I don't know. Oversharing. Look, it's still going to be contrived if you do share in that aspect. And it's a good question. You sort of stumped me on what my answer would be. Look, I think you do. If you overshare where you know the feedback hurts your brand or hurts your stakeholders, then you don't. You've gone too far.
Okay.
What constitutes the actual oversharing content?
Yeah.
Could be anything, in my opinion. Could be something about the contract. Could be something personal about the founder. Could be whatever it is.
The reason why I ask is because this whole bit of business innovation series I'm trying to encourage businesses to get out there and just make.
Okay.
So film bloody everything, right? And post almost bloody everything. But then I guess some of them will be fearful on oversharing. Yeah,
okay. Well, from that point of view, I remember the brief in the email, which was that I think, well, I don't think you can probably overshare in terms of content and what you put out there. What you put out there, obviously, you might want to control some aspects of it. You don't have to share everything. But putting something out there, I think you just have to do it as a business now. Whether it be via your phone, you hire a couple of uni guys to come in a day a week and film your workplace or whatever it is. But I don't know if oversharing is the thing. I think knowing what you've got or what your product or service is actually people that are interested in. A lot of people don't think it's interested in. It's like, well, why are you in business? Show what you do, be proud of what you do, be passionate about what you do, have someone just film what you do. And a lot of people, after a while, they warm up to it. So we've got a franchisee who I use for a lot of stuff. Really hesitant at the start. Now he's calling me, hey, I've got a job, do you want to come out and film this? Hey, nice. I get that all the time now. Yeah. So I think people just need to get comfortable with the fact that they're filming their business operations. It's the new norm. It's the new way of telling a story, rather than writing a bunch of content or having a couple of fake pictures with some models who aren't even a part of your business for photo shoots. Behind the scenes, look, phone here, just chuck it up. And that's what I'm trying to. I've got a lot of friends who have got some businesses, and that's what I've been trying to get through them really slowly. Yeah, it's still taking a while, but I think the businesses who actually do it full throttle, apply that Gary Vee type of model to an industry you wouldn't think, they do really, really well. Who's
doing that?
There's a company. There's a guy running for mayor called Nick Rushton who's big in the nightclubs. But I know Nick. Yeah. Well, I think his brother's got a company, and they do if you look at their Instagram, it's a bloody good Instagram for a HR company, or for they're doing a lot of the COVID cleans now, and they use that platform properly. They're always behind in schools, doing their things, and probably should go in a bit more detail than what they do. But that's a business outside of gyms who do it really well. Yeah. Whereas in gyms, we just film everything and put it up, and it's a great way to engage our stakeholders and make people who research our brand or use our services actually know what we do. But they're one example that I've seen them do. I'm just trying to think of another good example of someone who's applied the Gary Vee content model.
Well, while you're thinking of that, one you did really well was this is to encourage people that seemingly stupid content's actually amazing. You had just a real bushy area out the back of Jim's HQ. Yep. Some overhanging leaves and whatever. And I just watched a guy for 30 minutes just clean the gutters. What? Climb up a ladder, clean the gutters, talking about how to put your ladder. Yeah. And I'm like, fascinated. And then he blows the ground and trims the trees.
Yeah, there's things like that.
That's excellent.
Yeah, well, the other probably one that I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen Jim with the sledgehammer?
No.
So basically, Jim got a rower. He had this idea last year. He had a rower which didn't work, and then basically he wanted to smash it with a sledgehammer, and we then filmed it. So all about customer service though, because their customer service with Harvey Norman was really bad with him, so he wanted to show it. So we did a video like that, and Jim literally got a sledgehammer and. It's a pretty good clip, actually. Smashed the sledgehammer on the machine and things like that.
How did he lift the sledgehammer? He's such a weedy little skeleton.
He did. He surprised me. I bought the heaviest one I could. It was around $100. He reimbursed me, which was good. Unlike him, though. I bought a 12 kilo sledgehammer, and he got it up to my surprise, and he did really well. So that's a good one. But I just think a lot of people want to overthink their content, overproduce it. This is going to be the script, this is going to be the messaging. I'm the complete opposite with it. And probably my boys get annoyed with me because I operate in Slack, and I've got an idea for this, and that's it. This time, this is all we need to do. Really, really minimal run sheets, things like that. I'll get there. I'll meet the person. I'll make them feel comfortable. I'll make them feel excited about what they do. People are interested in, and then once you get them going, they come to you with ideas, and away you go. Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question. I don't think it did, but
I'm just having fun, Joel.
Cool.
This is the funny thing when you get to see people on the internet, on TV beforehand. You kind of idolize them a little bit. Or I don't know, there's this image in your mind, and then you meet them in real life. You're like, oh my god, they're real.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. What can you ask? What haven't I told you?
That's good. I think we've covered it. I just wanted people to know about create content, get out there, do it. You're doing it. I'm doing it. It's fun. It starts hard. It gets easier.
Yeah. I think definitely getting easier things is definitely does. You'll be embarrassed by what you do at first. And I look through our Instagram and stuff, and I'm embarrassed by what
the quality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mine's crap too.
Mine's garbage. Well, not garbage, but it was just like just me in the office doing my normal job plus going around taking pictures or whatever it was. And as you get going, as long as you improve, that's the main thing. Yeah. And you have fun doing it.
It happens quick too, right?
It does.
The improvement. For me, it was a couple of months, and it was way better.
Yeah. Well, I think when did you get through the barrier there where you sort of made it a habit?
Oh, I set myself a challenge of 7 days of content for 7 days. Just do it. Because to get that muscle going, come up with something every day. So 7 pieces. They were pretty crap. Then after that, it became for months, 5 a week. Every weekday, put something out online. And then after a number of months, I got good at it.
Now, was it because people liked it, or because you saw the interaction growing, or why did you keep doing it, or you enjoyed the actual process?
I got so much hate.
Really?
I get hundreds of thousands of views on the stuff I do now, on the big stuff I do now, and love, tiny bit of hate. Back then, I would get sometimes nothing, no good likes or whatever, but somebody saying, this is the most uninformative, useless video I've seen my entire time on YouTube. I'm like, oh, sorry. Like, it's free, it's not monetized, not selling anything.
Yeah. But you kept going, though. That's the main thing.
I kept going.
So a lot of people don't. I remember doing my LinkedIn video back in the day, trying to use LinkedIn, and posted some video about using Instagram or something, had all these good things, and then one comment really got to me, and I didn't end up posting something for another 2 months. And that was, that shouldn't be that way. So you just got to basically look at, what's that person, who is that person, the Gary Vee thing, what type of person has to go and write something negative or
broken
about someone, they are broken, there's something wrong with them. And they wouldn't say it to you in real life anyway. So it's just one of those things. But once you get over that fact, and away you go. But I think the main thing is people don't think they're interesting. And I think a lot of people underestimate how interesting they are. Yeah. And I find from talking to a lot of people and being in your shoes when I ask them questions, everyone's got an interesting story to tell. Everyone's job, I think, is interesting, whether being a bricklayer, whether being a waste removal, owner. Everything is interesting to someone as well. Don't underestimate your audience.
I reckon maybe everyone is interesting, but not everyone is good at telling their story.
True. I'm a poor storyteller. I'm not a good storyteller, I don't think. So that's why I like the live interaction sort of stuff for me, whereas I can just questions and answers and things like that. I'm not a good storyteller, whereas Jim's a great storyteller. And that's why I think our content does pretty well with Jim, is because he's naturally a really good storyteller and very engaging when he talks. So that's something I'm trying to work on and trying to piece a story and how can I say it best in my head. But you get better as you go.
When you talk about LinkedIn, have you noticed what I've noticed? I want to know if you've seen it too. I feel like there's a lot of expertise on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Amazing people on there. But I feel like the ratio of original content to reshared content is way skewed. Everyone is just sharing an article. And I'm begging my contacts on LinkedIn, please, for God's sake, just get a camera on yourself. You're a judge. You're a leading criminal barrister. Like, I want to hear your thoughts. Why the hell am I, not even a lawyer, explaining the omnibus bill? We should be hearing from this scholar and this dean and all this kind of thing.
What's the feedback you get, though? What do they say?
Most of them don't answer. I literally tag them in the post and say, I would watch any channel, anything you ever created, and I list like 10 people, great people. And people they like it and they move on. I think people are scared.
They are scared. They probably are scared, because you've got to put yourself out there, right? How many of us really, truly put yourself out there? Not many people do it. Can you truly put yourself out there and keep getting criticism and keep going, like obviously you did with your early videos, and you see where you are. But a lot of people truly don't put themselves out there. We all have facade. It's hard to pull that facade down. What are people going to think of us? And that's what holds us back. But you don't get anywhere with that mentality. But obviously they're very successful people. They've got somewhere. They are somewhere.
They are somewhere.
Yes. just I don't know why. Is it whether they're scared to open themselves to criticism or they can't deal with negative feedback. The resharing of content's interesting. You know, people reshare something, get 100 likes on a reshared bit of content, so you can be lazy.
Yes.
You know, original content's hard these days. So.
Well, maybe that's the thing. Like what we've been describing is original content really is vulnerable. It unveils who you are, and a lot of these people are hiding.
It does. I think a lot of people are hiding, and I think a lot of people don't think they're worthy enough, and they have that imposter syndrome, which we hear a lot of, and think they're a fraud. LinkedIn's an interesting one. I've met some people who I followed on LinkedIn in real life, and it's a massively different for what I actually see in real life. To what it's very disappointing, actually.
Or even just compare LinkedIn profile to the Facebook profile. And you're not the same person.
Yeah, not the same person. But even when you meet him, it's very underwhelming a lot of the time.
Am I underwhelming?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
It's okay if I am.
No, definitely not. I'm worried about more myself because you're rambled on a bit.
You're what I expected.
That's good. That's good. But I think having that continuity with who you are in person with your online image. I've rarely met people like that. Obviously, you're very, from what I see online, completely the same. But I think Jim's like that. But I think a lot of people on LinkedIn and those platforms, there's a lot of disconnect, and it really frustrates me because they claim about being authentic, being genuine, stuff like that.
That's big on LinkedIn.
The word authentic is huge now. I use it myself, but
they posture.
They do posture, and it's an interesting platform. And you get the old DMs all the time. But I think meeting some of those people to actually what they present online, it's just taught me, obviously, don't believe anything you see online. I'll judge for myself when I meet someone and the value they can provide me if that's what they're trying to sell me or whatever. But it's definitely been underwhelming meeting some of the people who you think are LinkedIn influencers compared to what they are online.
You know, it's been underwhelming for me meeting MPs.
Okay, right. How many you met?
More than 5.
More than 5. And what do you think's what's underwhelming for you about it?
I was scared to call MPs at the beginning of this Victorian lockdown stuff.
Yeah.
Only a couple of months ago, August. It's just not something I did. And now I'm telling everyone to call them. I'm calling them. I'm interviewing them. I'm chasing them down. I'm all this kind of stuff. Because I've realised how flawed and normal they are. Not just normal, how rubbish some of them are. Really. And it's because we're all rubbish in certain areas of our lives, but we see these people on media and MPs, and we kind of hold them to a higher standard. Maybe we should, but to find out that there are some donkey MPs and there are some brilliant MPs, and there are some nice ones and some horrible ones, and some ones that are kind of they talk at you and don't listen to you, and then there's other ones you feel like they could be your best friend, and that's really been strange for me. Well,
is it because you put let's say a reverence on being a politician? You think that's a position you should hold in reverence, or not anymore?
No, I think what we're observing is this whole content thing we've been talking about as we're starting to peel back the facade. I think 2 things. One, the facade is falling because people are doing long form content, and I'm interviewing them and whatever. But second of all, people are demanding the facade to fall. I think there is a demand for authenticity out there in the community, and what we're discovering is that emperors often have no clothes. It's like the tide's gone out and we're seeing who was swimming naked, and a lot of people were.
And sort of one of those. But saying that if they are their authentic self in the public, will they get to a position where they are?
Probably not.
And that's
some of them no.
And that's the thing we need to realise as the public, that everyone is got faults, and it's got everyone's like each other. And that's why I don't think anyone's done it, because I think someone like Jim or someone would be fantastic for politics. If you meet him, but he wouldn't get anywhere because he would say what he thinks, and then.
No, but I'm saying that they would, like Jim and Richard Reardon, who was in here the other night. They're so real.
Well, maybe we're ready for that. I don't know. Maybe we're ready for it as a public to sort of maybe put one of those people into a position, because we sort of we vote that way because we want the authentic, or the person who actually is genuine and says that what they think, if we agree with them or not.
Yeah, but even if you think they're crazy. Like, you got Craig Kelly out there.
Yeah.
Such a hero amongst so many people hate him, but so many people love him. And that's the point. I think we're getting more authentic people.
Yeah, let's say more polarising people. More. I think you've got to be polarising as well to do well, and in my opinion, is that sort of stuff. And maybe, that polarising person, that overly polarised person, can they get to a position where they can actually have some real influence?
Hey, what do you think of Dan Andrews' content production?
I haven't really followed it too much. I've seen obviously the ad with, what was her name, Magda Sabansky. Yeah.
Just because people talk a lot about Dan, how he's very well managed and social. He does TikTok and everything.
I haven't seen his TikTok. Obviously his Twitter goes all right. You obviously have these these people are just loyal allegiance followers. We've had a few of them come on Ask Gyms and spam the sort of the page almost. And he's got a good little team, I presume, working for him.
Social team.
The social team doing his Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay.
I this is off topic, but I just don't think he's got much empathy, to be honest. From what I've seen in those press conferences and things like that, I just don't see how you can have all this sort of destruction going around you and just be so shut off and be so hard lined.
But Joel, he's got to save us from coronavirus.
Apparently he is. Apparently he will, and he'll die on that hill for his next reel. I've got no idea about politics, so he's obviously a lot more intelligent than me in that area. But I just think he's doubled down on this, and that's it. You can't show me any evidence to stop me from doubling down on what I think. I think that's going to get me re-elected, and that's what he's doing. So.
But gyms is reopened now, right? 100% reopened as of today.
Not all of them. Our cleaning franchisees, cleaning group franchisees.
Because it's indoors.
Indoors. They can't go in the home. So we have a lot of cleaning franchisees who, obviously that's all they do is residential and commercial. They can't do anything. But most of our guys now and girls are back at work, which is good. But the cleaning group ones still have to wait a bit longer, I presume. Yeah, which is a shame. I met a couple of franchisees who actually started their business just before lockdown. They've got no income. So, and they do cleaning, COVID cleans and things like that. So,
Adam and Weave Barbershop. So Harry's Clothing opened and got a fine illegally. And the following day, Adam and Weave Barbershop opened and in Werribee got a fine. Their story was interesting. They're from, I think, Syria.
Okay.
And they had a barbershop, wherever it was, I think it was Syria. They had a barbershop over there that they had to close due to the war. Yeah, it was Syria. They had to close the war, and then they came here, opened this hair salon a few weeks before the stage 4 lockdowns in Melbourne. So they're not eligible for any JobKeeper, job seeker, relying on the savings and the love of the community. And so I kind of get why they opened against all restrictions. They're desperate.
Absolutely, you're desperate. If you've got no money, what can you do?
Are anyone in gyms just mowing lawns? Well, I mean, that's legal now, but there must have been
some people did through lockdown.
They just kept going.
They kept going, and you would have thought the public would have said something to them. No one said anything to them. No one dobbed them in. No one did anything to them.
Well done, Melbourne.
Yeah. I presume we had a few franchisees like that, but we obviously said don't do that.
Sure, you say it, fine, but good to hear they're just mowing a lawn by themselves.
Yeah, some of them people did that, or if they did dog wash or even cleaning. We don't know, fencing, things like that. So they've still got to earn some money, and that's what they've got to do. So they did it. Obviously, we say do everything what the government says, but if they did that, they did that. Yeah.
Okay. Joel, thank you for coming in. This has been a great conversation. There's a clock behind your shoulder, hour and a half.
Well, I hope you got some value out of it. I didn't know. I was a bit shocked you asked me to actually even do this. So
I'm tired of talking about coronavirus.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to someone who understands content production and Gary Vee and.
I hope I do a little bit. I'm just a Gary Vee guy, so whatever Gary Vee does, and what I consume as well, I actually try and replicate. So probably a good example is that I love soccer, football. There's a show called Soccer AM, and they get the coaches down and the players to type in to Google themselves, and they come up with the top 10 things about themselves, and then they tell it truthfully. So I'll see that and I'll go, let's do it for you, Jim. Top 10 search careers and Jim Penman.
Busting the myths.
Yeah. So is Jim real? Yes, I'm real. Does Jim have a wife? Yes, I've been married for 14 years, happily married. Is Jim alive? Is Jim alive? Yes, I'm still here, thankfully. So, but that's done then just to make the framework to business. It doesn't have to be all business serious stuff. We try and do some funny stuff as well, and it's stuff that I like. A lot of sporting. I think sporting clubs' digital media departments are probably right up there in terms of the originality and stuff like that. So why can't you apply that to your business? So we sort of take 10 quick questions with a franchisee now. Why not show a public? It doesn't have to be him selling. This is Aaron. He's a local expert in your community, which a lot of people don't think our franchisees are actually local business owners where they are. Aaron, what's your favourite footy club? Collingwood. How long you believed in the area? 10 years. You try and let people know via some entertaining content that they are local business owners. And that's via a funny channel. Whereas sitting there going, I'm Aaron, I'm 34, blah blah blah. You try and do things that are fun. So.
What a good way to end. I think there's been some great advice for businesses that we've talked about today.
I hope so. Well, I've rambled on a bit, and then I'll be honest with you, I got up at 5 a.m. because I couldn't sleep because I was running through my head answers I'm going to give, and I don't think I gave one of the answers
too nervous.
I gave. I didn't give one of the answers I think I gave in my head, but thanks for having me on, and just hope if anyone gets any value out of it, then that's great. I just think, people just get too up in themselves and a bit scared about what people are going to say. Just do it. If you've got something to share it, and then refine as you go along and just try and get a little bit better. And who knows where you'll be in a year's time. If you said to me 2 years ago I'll be doing videos with Jim and things like that, I would have said, you're dreaming. So, just one of those things. Just produce. Everyone's got something worthwhile to tell. Put it online. You never know what that could create, what that could lead to.
This is good advice, people. Conversations on this show that go for 20 minutes is because I don't like them. We run out of things to say. But when they go for an hour and a half, as we just hit, Joel is exactly who I thought he would be. Really cool guy, great insights, big-hearted, which is nice. And that's why I wanted to stay for lunch. We're going to go eat some charcoal roasted lamb.
For the protein. Get back. I can't go to the gym, so I've got to get the protein the other way now. So.
Thanks for coming in today, Joel.
No, thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it.